Hi, everyone. I'm Charlene Shirk, and welcome to Digital Champions, where we speak to some of the most innovative thinkers in the digital space. And joining us from New York, is Aaron Kwittken with Profit. Aaron, thanks so much for joining us today on Digital Champions.
Hey, Charlene, thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so glad to have you on board because you have a very innovative organization there. And I've actually had the opportunity to speak with some of your folks because I wanted to learn more as a former journalist. So without further ado, tell everybody what you do over there at Profit.
Sure. So what we try to do is try to figure out in advance which reporters or media would be interested in your story idea. So the things that we've tried to solve for as PR people is one, how do I know if a reporter is going to be interested in my story idea? And two, how do I know that's had an impact on my business? And we're trying to solve for the first one. And it's really simple. We use AI techniques, really augmented intelligence, where you upload your pitch into our platform and we determine which reporter would be interested in your story idea based on what they've written on or adjacent topics in the past. Kind of like what the film industry is doing, kind of like what the book publishing industry is doing now to determine future commercial viability of books and scripts for movies.
Now, there's also on your site where you talk about how you can also test standby statements and crisis language to kind of avoid a PR crisis. Walk us through that, because once a PR crisis is out there, man, you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
True. Yeah, toothpaste in the tube, genie in the bottle, whatever analogy you want to use. It was the original idea behind Profit. So my background's in crisis and issues management. And when you're working with a company that has an emerging or potential crisis that could see the light of day, the thing that a lot of PR people do is we put together these standby statements, right? So it could be around a product recall. It could be around a government enforcement, whatever it is. And what you don't know is if you use that standby statement, what reporters are going to be most interested in it and which ones wouldn't? And how do you write the language in concert with the company and their legal folks and general counsel in a way that either balances a future story or mitigates it? So you can put into our platform these statements in a very secure cloud environment to test whether or not this would actually increase media coverage, i.e., amplify the crisis, or mitigate or dampen the crisis. And that was the original idea behind Profit, and it's still a use case today.
And so a little bit of this, and like I mentioned, as a former journalist, what piqued my interest was that kind of what I'm reading into this is you could kind of test the bias of reporters to see if they're going to report favorably on this topic or negatively on this topic, which refutes the whole theory of objectivity. And as a crisis management person, I want to find, how did you end up getting into this and thinking of it from that perspective? Not just, oh, let's go find a reporter who might be interested, but let's go see if they're interested and how they might lean their piece.
What we are testing both interest and sentiment. And the second part, which is really what you're getting at, is sentiment, is very hard to measure and it's uneven. But the beauty of it is that all of the information that we are ingesting and that we're analyzing is publicly available information. These are pieces and narratives that reporters have written on in the past. And most human beings and most reporters who are human, at least for now, they don't necessarily change the way they write and the vibe and the tone in which they write. So that's what we're trying to assess, to be able to give a company, a PR person, or an agency a little bit more edge in predetermining how that reporter might react to a story idea, whether it's positive or negative.
And that is, it also leans into the hook, right? I mean, you're kind of saying, well, what hook should we use? Because the most frustrating part is when you're pitching is the silence you get back, because these folks are getting pitched hundreds of times a day. And so, lean into the what's going to get them, half the time it's the title of the press release or the pitch that you send out, the hook that's going to get them. So I'd love to ask you, we've got about a minute left. What would be your best tip that you're seeing that really does get a reporter's attention?
I think what we're trying to do as PR people, and I've been doing this for more than 3 decades now, and I'm admitting that here on your show. What we're really trying to do right now is find that intersectionality between the brand's intention and what's happening in the cultural zeitgeist, what's trending. And ultimately, the best way to do that is to have to read what reporters have written on in the past. This technology reads it for you, and then lean into what's happening in culture. And if you can do that, if you know what a reporter's writing on, what they're interested in, and what's trending right now, and attach your brand or your company to those things, you are in that sweet spot. You're in the zone, and that's where that intersectionality is. And ultimately, that makes for the best pitch. And I say this not just as a PR person and as now a tech person, but also someone who has their own podcast. I get tons of really bad pitches. I wrote for Forbes for 10 years as a contributor. I write for The Drum. And I'm constantly getting pitched, and 99% of them are totally off the mark because they don't meet that criteria I just talked about, that intersectionality.
Help you move that story forward in a way that's going to be relevant, and viewers are now ready for that next level of information. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your insight. Fabulous stuff. Great technology, for good and for bad. Great technology.
Thanks for having me on, Charlene. It was a pleasure.
Oh, we appreciate you. And if you'd like to learn more about what Aaron is doing over there at Profit, it is fascinating. I sat through a demonstration. I highly suggest you do. It's very eye-opening. You can start by reading more about him on dailyadbrief.com. Well, I'm Charlene Shirk. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to learning something new with you next time.
Simplify presents Addressable CTV, combining the power of TV with the targeting and attribution of digital. Simplify's Addressable CTV delivers massive reach with the ability to scale without sacrificing precision. TV buyers can generate incremental reach with household-level targeting, frequency controls, reporting, and insights. To learn more about Simplify's Addressable CTV and what it can do for your clients, visit simply.fi.